into the recently released NFL schedule. So Bucs and Chiefs, both in the Super Bowl last year, both have fairly paved roads back to the big game, but they look a little different. Tampa, how about this? They got the easiest strength of schedule coming into the season. Remember, they didn't win the division. Meanwhile, KC coming in with the 8th hardest road through the 18-week schedule. So, Brandon, which team has a clearer path to the Super Bowl, Bucs or Chiefs?
Before they released the schedule, I was already talking about the Bucs, and when you look at that, man, you got to go with the Bucs. That is the answer. There's a few reasons why. That guy right there, number 12, Tom Brady, another year in this offense. That was extremely hard to do, almost impossible for him to go into Tampa in his first year and lead them to a Super Bowl and win it. Like, remember, halfway through the year, he was beefing with Bruce Arians. They didn't know what offense they were running. They didn't know what their identity was. They didn't know what their identity was until week 12. So now you give them another offseason, OTAs and mini camps and preseason. What do you think this offense is going to do? Everybody settled in. Mike Evans knows his role. You got Antonio Brown coming back. He knows his role. The running backs, they know their role. They return every player, every coach. And then that defensive side, we all know about the front seven, but you're giving Todd Bowles another year to groom and mold that young secondary. And that is the complex part about that defense. The front seven, they just get after it. Coach Bowles just let them get after it. That back end, they have to be smart. They have to be able to cover up for that front seven if they don't get to the quarterback. So this team is going to be better, not only because they brought back everybody, literally everybody, because all of their coordinators could have been head coaches this year. They should have been head coaches. All their players came back, but you get another offseason to really embrace who you are as an offense, as a defense. So you got to go with the Bucs. Nick, come on, man. You know that.
So here's the thing. And people are going to get upset, but they know I'm right. The Bucs are going to be better, and they're going to need to be. Because last year they were about the 6th or 7th best team in the NFL. Oh, Nick, they won the Super Bowl. I know. And they deserve tremendous credit for it. And they were about the 6th or 7th best team in the NFL. And I do not think the path to the Super Bowl for the Bucs this year will duplicate what it was last year, which is your first playoff game against a guy named Taylor Heineke, who, despite it being his first career NFL start, it's a one-score game in the fourth quarter. Your second playoff game, you are losing and being outplayed before the second oldest quarterback in football after a Jared Cook fumble kind of unfortunately disintegrates in real time. Your third playoff game, you are up against a team that has just lost its all-pro left tackle, and you take advantage of it. And then your fourth playoff game, how about that? You're up against a team that has lost its left tackle, its right tackle, and its right guard, and you take advantage of it. The Chiefs, on the other hand, while the last time we saw them play looked terrible, admittedly, they have rebuilt that offensive line. And prior to the offensive line being decimated by injury, what had the Chiefs done? They had lost once in 15 months. One game. I'm going to throw out the Week 17 game where nobody played. They were far and away the best team in football last year. And whilst people can say, oh, it's a difficult path, last year they played every playoff team you could possibly play, most of them on the road, and beat them all. So, who has the clearer path? The team that's clearly better. I give the Bucs get the banner hangs forever, the ring shines forever. I get it. But last year, over the entirety of the season, the Chiefs were the better team. And this year, the Chiefs go into the season the far better team. And again, it's not they won the Super Bowl and they dominated the Super Bowl, and I'm happy for them. But so did the 07 Giants. And the 07 Giants were not better than the 07 Patriots. They were just better that day. And so they just weren't. Come on. And so who has a clearer path? The Chiefs have a clearer path.
I agree.
My goodness.
And Nicholas, I have an olive branch to give you. It's part of our budding friendship.
What's that?
It's a confession and an apology. Last year, when the Chiefs were coming off their Super Bowl victory, I kept on saying, are you worried about the Super Bowl hangover? And you would always say, Wilds, the Super Bowl hangover does not apply to the Super Bowl champions. It applies to the team that loses the Super Bowl. And I always pretended I had some sort of malfunction in my earpiece that I didn't hear you. I knew that. I knew it the entire time.
Yeah.
I was just trying to sort of get you mad. But now they are the Super Bowl hangover team. Are you worried at all about the statistical fact that these true Super Bowl hangover, the team that loses the Super Bowl, comes back and has a disappointing year?
Here's why I'm not. What's the team over the last 20 years that lost the Super Bowl and came right back and won it? The Patriots. Why? Because the year before they had won it. Because the Super Bowl hangover is for a team. It's like, this is the best year we've ever had. We came so close, and oh my God, now we have to climb that mountain. It has a different psychological effect if it's a team that has already climbed that mountain, planted its flag, and then it's just like, this is our mountain. We actually get here every year. And so, no, I don't think a team that has, since Mahomes has been there, the worst year they've had was the AFC Championship game, and the other 2 years were the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover. But, Brandon, because I heard you while I was talking, I have an honest question. Do you think that because the Bucs are the same team as last year. That's like in a good way, right? The first Super Bowl champion, they bring everybody back. Do you think that Super Bowl plays out the same way? If the Chiefs in that Super Bowl have the offensive line they're bringing to the season this year, the totally rebuilt, all-pro, in theory, healthy offensive line? Because I don't. So that's another reason why we know what the Bucs are. They made no changes. Right, but I'm talking about projecting for this year. If they were right, we know what the Bucs are. The Chiefs.
We call that after football, and Peter King, he coined it as Monday morning quarterback.
Monday morning quarterback.
Like everything you described about the Bucs run to the Super Bowl is exactly what happened for the Chiefs in 2020. You guys were down against the Texans. Deshaun Watson should have put y'all away. And then there was the game after that. And then even in the Super Bowl, y'all were trailing Jimmy Garoppolo, 20-10 in the third quarter, and Patrick Mahomes came back and he pulled it out. So everything you described about the Bucs is exactly how you guys won your Super Bowl. So we can talk all these shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and all these what ifs all we want. But at the end of the day, it's about when the clock hit zero, what happened? And when you look at this schedule right now, Nick, so we don't deflect and we don't get off track. When you look at this schedule, you guys have a hard schedule, and then the Bucs have an easy schedule with everybody coming back. But here's the deal. And this is the reality of it. Man, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're awesome. Everybody else, the Green Bay Packers, the Chargers, the Steelers, the Broncos, all these teams, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, all these teams have to play their best game to beat them. So it's going to be interesting, but in the NFL, it's about attrition.
That's right.
Where are these guys going to be standing week after week after week? Because both of these teams are going to be right where they need to be if they're healthy, Jenna. We're probably going to see, a run back on the Super Bowl.
Put the Chiefs' schedule back up. I'm just curious. Nick, take us through the Chiefs' schedule. Because we joked at the top of the show, you think they're going undefeated. But I'm just curious, can you take us through the Chiefs' schedule? If you guys put that back up a second.
Yeah, so, and maybe even before as we put up the Chiefs' schedule, let's take what we know. Let's talk about the Chiefs with Mahomes in September. So you see in the first 3 weeks of the season in September, they play the three best quarterbacks in the AFC, Baker, Lamar, and Justin Herbert. What do we know about Mahomes in September? Can't be beaten. 32 touchdowns, 0 picks, 10-0, 124 passer rating. Literally cannot be beaten in September. So now we can go back to that schedule. So you play the three best quarterbacks in the AFC, and I said that correctly, Baker, Lamar, and Justin Herbert. That's 3 tough games, but it's in September, so you can't lose them. We've seen the Chiefs play the Bills and Josh Allen, played them twice last year, beat them soundly both times. So I'm looking, and am I going to say, the Chiefs are going to go undefeated? No, that would be ridiculous. But I have projected it out, so let's just show America. I can find one loss, America. Right before the bye week, a 10-0 fat and happy Chiefs team takes on the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, oh my goodness gracious, how could the Chiefs only lose one game? Well, they lost one game last year until they rested everyone in Week 18. Why do I not have them losing Week 18 this year? Well, because you're playing the Broncos. They haven't lost to the Broncos in 2,000 days, and it's the Broncos. So they're not, even if they play, they can play whoever they want. They can bring Brody Croyle back out of retirement. They'll be able to beat the Broncos. Right before the bye week, 10-0, clearly the best team in football. You look past the Cowboys a bit. Dak has a big game against the Chiefs secondary. Well, I'd love it. I mean, we can. Last year, I think I had them going 14-2.
I'm not even going to entertain this.
They ended up going 14-2.
Entertain
me the losses.
I'm not.
Just tell me the losses.
Listen, I'm not going to entertain this, but what I will bring up is this. Earlier in the show, we talked about, what game you're interested in watching, and you said what? The Bucs versus the Cowboys. I think you brought that up. And you got the Cowboys, you have the Cowboys beating the Bucs, right? And now you have your team losing to the Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
So are you again saying that the Cowboys are going to be good? Because you picked them last year to make it to the Super Bowl. So are you again going to be a blind believer in the Cowboys?
If Dak didn't get hurt, who knows?
Well, let us know.
Hey,
you're telling us right now.
Last year, who knows what would have happened? Dak got his ankle broken, so maybe they would have made the Super Bowl. Who knows? NFC was a little soft. I don't know if you know who won the Super Bowl last year. It was a 42-year-old washed quarterback.
Cowboys got him again,
I think
guys.
Cowboys will be good. I think